guys, welcome back. As you can see, today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video, and this is probably going to be a shorter one too. I play Warhammer Fantasy Battles, which, as many of you may know, was discontinued by Games Workshop, so Tabletop Warhammer Fantasy does not exist anymore. Instead, we have something called Age of Sigmar, which began as a skirmish type game, closer to something like, what is that? What is that 40k game called? Necromunda, or maybe HeroQuest or something like that. Probably not HeroQuest. Anyways, it's nothing like fantasy in terms of basing. The setting is flavored way differently. The rules are substantially different. You can argue whether or not they're better. I personally really like how complex Warhammer Fantasy's rule set is. So that is what I continue to try to play. However, since it has been discontinued, you cannot buy new models from Games Workshop. A lot of people will just go to eBay, and I have done that. I've bought a lot of models off of eBay. But the other thing you can do, especially if you're one of the people who tries to play Ninth Age, which is the fan-made continuation of Warhammer Fantasy, is you can just buy models from other producers and use them as counts as. And that is what Titan Forge is. Now, just to be clear, I'm not like shilling for Titan Forge or anything. I just happen to think that they have some really cool takes on a lot of these models and armies. So I wanted to show you guys some examples. In case any of you play Warhammer Fantasy and are looking for some cool counts as, these guys are definitely a cool place to go. So why don't we start off with these guys that you see right here, Bloodsail Island. These are your Ogre Kingdom equivalent. And just be warned, this website is garbage. It takes forever to load. So we may have to sit through some loading screens here. Anyways, so I don't play Ogre Kingdoms. I don't know anything about Ogre Kingdoms, but I do recognize some of these models. I don't know what these are supposed to be, because they're 25 by 50 millimeter bases. So, but Anchor Bashers, okay, those are probably like man-eaters or something. These are obviously lead pilchers. Let's look at these guys, just because they are super cool. Let's see if we can get it full screen. There we go. Oof. A little squished there. But I mean, like, check that out. This dude is fucking carrying a mermaid around with him. I think that is so cool. And let's go to, oh shoot, like I said, this website's a little weird. So a couple videos ago we were talking about vampire counts and how at one point they reanimated a bunch of orcs. So I don't know if Titan Forge knows about that lore. I have to assume that they do, and that is why they created an undead greenskin army. I think this is the most flavorful thing on the planet. I mean, look at this guy. This is a Nosferatu orc. I mean, that is just so fun. And his little goblin carrying his casket around with him. I don't actually know how to go back. Oh, there we go. Okay. My mouse button works. Doc Orkenstein. I mean, this is I think you can guess what this guy's supposed to be. I just think that, I mean, granted, I have no idea what the quality of the actual they are resin, and if we've learned anything from Finecast, is that resin can be shit. I have to assume that since these guys do not have a name like Games Workshop does, that their models are actually good, and not like Finecast. I would hope. I haven't bought anything from them. If any of you have, I would love to hear from you about the quality, because I need to get some stuff, and I will actually show you the stuff that I'm thinking about buying. But like, look at this. So this would be your giant bats for your vampire counts if it was a vampire count army, but they're squigs. I don't think it gets much more fun than that. This is, I think, this is definitely one of their most fleshed out armies. I think the noisy ghosts are super fun. They're goblin ghosts. Undead trolls. That's pretty straightforward. Undead wyvern. This Vorgash guy, I think, is supposed to be like the Red Duke. I don't play vampire counts. I don't know anything about them. Which, I mean, I know we're looking at now 2 armies that I know nothing about. But I have played Total War, so I'm assuming that the Red Duke is possibly a character. A tabletop character. I don't really know, though. I don't know to what extent Musalon is part of tabletop. So I want to show you guys now. Oh, here's another example of these would be like oh shit, what are those guys called? The bigger guys, they're on 40mm bases. Not like the giant bats. They're oh shoot. Anyways, they're big flying monstrous infantry. So yeah, there's a lot of really fun counts as stuff here. Let's look at, I think this is my favorite part of this website, of this company, is that even though they only have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got 8 armies, but they made sure that one of them was Chaos Dwarves, and I love that. Chaos Dwarves do not get a lot of love, but I think that they are a wildly creative army. So let's just look at some of these guys. I think that these guys are super cool. I'm not a huge fan of the paint job. Golden red doesn't provide great contrast. But I think that the models are really interesting. This thing is called a Life Shredder. And it's just a rocket launcher. It's an automaton rocket launcher, and it comes with crew. And the crazy thing to me is that this is €18. So that's what, I don't know, $23. Games Workshop would charge you like $35 for this or something. Not to hate on Games Workshop, because Games Workshop has beautiful sculpts, but fuck me if they will overcharge you for resin kits. I mean, I bought a Goblin Spear Chukka off of eBay. No, sorry, not off of eBay. Directly from Games Workshop. And, I mean, it's a Finecast, so it's a piece of shit. And they charged me, I want to say it was like $28 or $30. They're not even producing the models anymore. They don't support fantasy anymore, but they are still going to gouge you for buying models for a game that they want to pretend doesn't exist. So I just want to show you guys now a couple of the models that I think I'm going to get from these guys eventually. I don't really have the money to do it right now. So my dwarf army is a little lacking. I don't have any iron breakers. I don't have any iron drakes. Not that iron drakes are maybe as necessary as iron breakers are. I don't have any gyrocopters. That is going to be one of the first things I get. So, they make these super cool ancestral zeppelins, which, I mean, look at that guy. Look at that crazy dude. I think their sculpts are so creative. And of course they come in so many goddamn bits. You have to glue it all together. I have to assume that these are 9th Age stuff, because they're not in fantasy. I assume they're supposed to be like earth columns or something like that. I've only really basically read over the rules for 9th Age. I don't remember most of it. Here's your anvil, whatever the runic anvil, whatever that's called. The only thing that allows dwarves to cast spells. It doesn't come with a base for some reason, so you'd have to base it properly, which might be a pain because it looks like it's kind of big. That's not really something I'm thinking about. But then this guy, I do not have any. What are they called? Oath bearers. The guys who carry the dwarf lord on the palanquin on the throne. So I think I'm going to pick one of these up as it counts as. It's pretty goofy looking, and he kind of looks like he's gonna fall over backwards. But I think it's a sweet model. And even though they don't mesh a whole lot with the Games Workshop stuff that I have, I think they provide a pretty cool amount of flavor to an army. I mean, these, like, let me see if I can find the, I know I can find it, there's only 2 pages. Like this. Steam Gatling gun, so this would be your organ gun. I mean, that is just so cool. There's so many rivets. That would be a time to paint. Although with the new contrast paints, it might be easier. I don't know. I don't have any. I've never bought any of the contrast paints. I plan to eventually, but again, I just don't really have the money right now. Can we go back, please? Thank you. Nope, that's too far. Okay, anyways. So now, we're gonna look at the pride and joy of Titan Forge. This is the thing that they are the most proud of, and it is completely understandable why. This is, I think, mostly an empire, counts as Dragon Empire. I mean, that makes sense. So you've got crossbowmen, but they're archers. Spearmen, blade masters, which I'm assuming would be great swords. Chariots, I guess you'd run that as a whatever that thing is called, the thing with the big artillery sphere on the back that you put the wizard on. Dragon cavalry, maybe that's supposed to be Demigryph knights. I don't know. Although I think they have guys on foo dogs that are supposed. Yes. Oh no, archer cavalry. I don't know what those are. Outriders. Cannon. Great cannon. What do you call this? Steam gun? No, not steam gun. Volley gun, something like that. Hellblaster volley gun, that's what they're called. I mean, this is rocket launcher, so that's another Empire unit. spear thrower. I'm not sure what, I don't think there's an Empire equivalent to a spear thrower, so that might just be for fun. I mean, a lot of these are obviously just because they thought they were fucking cool models, which they're definitely right. I was thinking about, my girlfriend has a high elf army, but she doesn't have a dragon, and I was thinking that something like this might be really cool. I mean, it, totally clashes with the aesthetic, but if you paint it right, it might look pretty sweet, and the model on its own is really awesome. They have a lot of heroes. As far as I can tell, there is no game associated with any of this, so this is entirely supposed to be counts as. Although, granted, I've never been to their board games section, so maybe there is. No, it would seem that there are not. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I think these guys they got something really special here. Out of all of the miniature manufacturers, I think this is definitely exceptional. If any of you have any experience with these models, I would love to know about it before I put any money into this. Granted, their models are pretty cheap, and you can get okay shipping, I think, to the States. Not like if you're buying from Mantic Games, Kings of War, you basically get it for free. Anyways, I hope if any of you are still Warhammer Fantasy players that I've inspired you to look at some different ways of composing a new army or spicing up one that you already have. Maybe if you're not currently a fantasy player, you might get into it. I think the best thing that we can do as wargamers right now is to breach Warhammer Fantasy, just to make sure that Games Workshop knows how badly they fucked up. And I know that sounds a little malicious, but I'm bitter. It sucks that they did that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you would comment, like, subscribe, share it, whatever you want to do. You don't have to do anything. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.